winning owner Joel Politti, and winning jockey Jose Ortiz. And this is the first Kentucky Oaks victory for all three of these gentlemen. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Tom, I would like to start with you. It's been an amazing few weeks for this filly, and we will get to that backstory. But first, I'd just like to hear your reaction to her performance today.
Well, I've never won a race this big in my entire life, and I've been training since 1987. I've won a lot of races, but not one like this. And I have heard it said that when it happens, it's just a different experience. Today, for me, it was a rush of emotions. I thought about my mom and dad, who are 93 and 94. They're at home watching. I know they saw this today. I can't wait to call them and speak to them. My extended family, I've got 5 brothers and their families. My wife and kids are here. Colleen, my wife, Ashley, my oldest daughter, and Haley, my youngest daughter, are here. And I think as a team, us 4 have seen quite a bit, as every trainer has, in terms of sacrifices and getting up early and moving around a lot. But don't separate me from anyone else. That's the life of a trainer. They put up with a lot, and I think today was just one of those days where it just, I thought about the people that taught me along the way too. I just had so many emotions, and they were going through my head so fast. As you can tell from the way I'm talking, I'm usually not at a loss for words, but my head is spinning right now.
Well, let me help you out. I know you were not pleased with the post draw. You were further outside than you would have liked, but Jose ended up in a perfect position. How did you see the trip?
So I liked what I saw after the first 100 yards. I saw a horse go down. I did not look at my horse anymore. I was looking at that horse. I saw she got up and she was okay, and the rider got up, and then I put my focus back on my horse. And at that point, I could see that Jose was riding to try to make the lead, which we discussed. And when he made the lead before going to the turn and was able to save ground around the first turn, I felt comfortable with that. Down the backside, when they put up a very fast opening half mile, my wife turned to me and said, "That's too quick." And I said, not for her, it's not. Because when my filly's good, she's really good. And that's really what we should be talking about.
No doubt.
She's a great athlete, and I'm so blessed to have her. So, yeah, I guess the focus is on us 3, but if we could put her in that 4th chair right there, I'd love to do it, because she would tell you, I'm the man.
Jose, I'd love to hear it in your words that you must have been a little bit surprised to get the lead as easily as you did and then be all alone. Just describe the trip for us.
Well, I appreciate the confidence, first of all. Thank you, both of you, for giving me the opportunity to ride her. Tom gave me a lot of confidence on her. I've never been on her, and he told me, ride it like you own her. And that's what I did. I went out of there. I know her best races are on the lead, and I just tried to get her comfortable. I don't care if I was going a little bit too fast. As long as she was comfortable, I was comfortable with it. So.
And then can you tell us about, say, the last 1/8 of a mile when Leora was coming to you and what she gave you there?
But when we passed the quarter pole, I started riding her, and she responded really well. When she put her hair down and took off, I said, man, she's gonna run big today. Past the 8 pole, I hit a left hand that she gave me that second gear, and from that point on, I know I had it. That filly was never gonna go by her. She picking her ears down, and she was gonna keep going.
Jose, there she goes right there.
Yep, I was on looking at. Man, I'm so excited to be in this position, but I gotta say, when I see Tyler working the filly other day, Jimmy's my agent, say, why I'm not working the filly if I'm gonna ride her? I mean, I was a little worried. Say, no, don't worry about it. Tyler probably is gonna ride her if the other filly draws in the race. Say, okay, no. I was a little nervous until I see the entry came out. But I knew she was very live, because last time she had some issues on the Fairground Oaks.
Yep.
And I knew Tom was gonna have it ready with that breeze 58, and she did everything right just like he wanted. He was very happy with her, and I was very happy. You know, he got a lot of confidence, and he passed it to me. Like, I love to ride for owners, trainers that tell me that just do your thing. You know, I love it.
Well, Tom did indeed have her ready despite leading in the Fairgrounds Oaks. Joel, can you just talk about, since that race and everything that you've been through, getting her ready after a disastrous performance in New Orleans?
Well, the getting her ready is all Tom. So credit here goes to Tom. you've heard him say he won a lot of races. I think Tom's the greatest trainer in the world, and I'm ecstatic that he won this race. So what we've been through emotionally in the last 6 weeks is a lot of things, because to us, she's a really special horse. And so the first thing that we talked about repetitively was the day after the Oaks, Tom and I stood in the barn and said, we're not under any pressure to run in the Oaks. We were very both resolute in that we were not going to run in the Oaks today under any press or push just to run in this race. And we took it day by day. And she's an incredible athlete, and she showed it every day in the morning. And Tom and I have talked on the phone and texted to the point where we've got a direct line, right? T1 direct communication, and she told us that she was fine repetitively along the way. And if she wasn't, both of us were very committed to not running. And again, every day she showed us that she was fine. And that last work, if you haven't watched the replay, it's on YouTube. It's an eye popper. You don't really need to watch the replay because you get to watch this one, but she gave us a lot of confidence.
Yeah. Tom, you were cautiously optimistic after that stiff work. Could you just follow up about the last 6 weeks? And
Sure.
especially the work you put into her to confirm she was good.
We got up here after the Fairgrounds Oaks, and she had bled in the Fairgrounds Oaks and bled significantly. She bled outwardly, and they gave her a precautionary ride back to the barn area on the horse ambulance for the bleeding. And when I got up here, I thought to myself, I'm reading all these comments that she's hurt, and she was never hurt, obviously, but I finally decided one day that I was going to bring her out to the racetrack. This is in early April when we just got here, and I was just going to take a film clip of her to put on social media, because we were being very transparent with her. And I'd also decided at that time that I did not think we were going to run in the Kentucky Oaks. And when we made that decision, when we announced it, I was concerned people would again think that she was hurt from the Fairgrounds Oaks. So I told my exercise rider to back her up to the 7/8 pole, which is literally 3/8 of a mile, and then gallop her behind me so I can film her on my phone at the half-mile pole and just pull her up. So we're talking about sending her to the track and going 5/8 of a mile in a gallop, which no one ever does. But I just did it because I wanted to get video of her so people could see that I wasn't hiding anything from anybody about her health. And I took the video, and I sat up there, and all of a sudden, she came around again. And he misunderstood my instructions and went an extra mile. She came around the second mile. Her ears were doing this. I mean, it was fate, you know. She was, look, horses talk. And she talked to me that morning and said, you know, I'm going to be okay. And if he hadn't have made that mistake that day, if my exercise rider hadn't have made that mistake that day, I was getting ready to call Joel and say, let's just leave the race alone. But when she came back around and looked as good as she did, I went back to the barn and I changed my mind, and we took it day to day from there. We tried to be very transparent in everything we did. It's all on social media. The work Jose is talking about was a work with another horse. Again, she spoke to us that day when she worked. I called it that morning after the work, a wow work. And most importantly, on that particular day, we treated her therapeutically, just as we were going to treat her for the Kentucky Oaks. So it was important that not only she worked well, but that she didn't have a bleeding episode. So we scoped her afterwards, and she was clean. For those of you who were at the barn, Dr. Dunlap, who scoped her, spoke to you guys, and said she looks perfect. And I called Joel and I said, we're a go. We're gonna go in the race. So you know, when I watched her today out of the gate, it looked a lot like the Pocahontas last year. She made the lead out of the gate down the backside, just like in the Pocahontas last year as a 2-year-old, right here in this track. She went very, very quick, but the ears tell the tale. And when the ears are doing this, you know you got something underneath you. And I watched it on TV, and I wasn't concerned about how fast she was going. I knew Jose had horse, and that was sweet, very sweet.
Yep. All right, let's open it up for questions. Charlie, Fred, if you could just introduce yourself and who you're with.
Ron Mitchell, Blood Horse Magazine. Tom, can you just describe to me a little bit about, you picked this horse out at the Keeneland September yearling sale, $70,000 of alternation. Tell me what you like about her, and whether or not the fact she was by alternation give you any trepidation.
So she sold fairly late at the Keeneland sale, as I recall, but still the averages were very high, still probably in the 150 to 175, I would guess.
Yeah, over 100.
Joel
that day,
was
yeah.
with us, and I brought Joel to look at the horse, and she was extremely athletic looking. I mean, and if you looked at her today, you know what I'm talking about. And I think the fact that she was by a relatively unknown sire, a sire that never even won a Grade 1, people got off of her. But we were looking for an athlete, and she's some athlete.
Other questions?
Tim Sullivan, Courier Journal. Tom, you had, as of the last time I looked, you had the highest winning percentage of all time of the top 50 trainers. Why has it taken you till today for this breakthrough?
So I think part of that is that my label, maybe even up until today, has been, oh, he's a great claiming trainer. You know, he knows how to work with horses well and do that. But I've never been known as someone that's a developer of horses, although I think I've developed quite a few. Certainly not the likes of one like this. And about 4 or 5 years ago, I made a committed effort to start going to the yearling sales and trying to change that and trying to be a trainer that people wouldn't just say, hey, he's just a claiming trainer. So, so she is one of maybe the second or third season we've done this, to go to the sale and actively buy, say, 10 horses, which I've never done. I usually get 2 or 3 a year, and that's it. And you know, it just was the right move.
We may buy a few more this year.
Danny?
Danny Brewer, horseracingScoop.com. Tom, you've always known she was royalty. I mean, what about now? Everybody else knows it too?
Yeah, I'd like Danny. I mean, you and I talk a little bit, and I mean, look, all the signs were there. I mean, she came in the paddock. You can't tell me one of them looked better than her in the paddock. She was shiny and good. She looked great. Her workouts were great. They were there for everyone to see. We felt we were on the right track with everything we'd done with her management-wise. So we were, you know, look, I didn't bet a penny on her. Let me just get that straight. But I could have bet $1 million on her, and I wouldn't have been more happy than I am right now. So, you know, it just went right. You know, it just went really right.
Frank Hanks, Blood Horse. Joel, Tom just talked about, I'm right here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking around.
He just talked about maybe he's had that reputation as a claiming trainer. What, as an owner, gave you the faith to say, hey, this guy, he can train at the very top levels of the sport?
Well, so I've known for a long, long time that I already said it. I think Tom is, you know, the best is a very subjective thing. Tom is amongst the elite in getting horses ready. And then he went to the sale and bought Mo Tom a few years ago. Anybody remember Mo Tom?
Yeah.
He went to the sale and bought Lone Sailor a few years ago. Anybody remember Lone Sailor, right? So I talk to Tom all the time. One of my favorite things to do is go to the barn and just look at all of his horses for fun. And you can see what he's got. And he's got an eye, and he's proven it repetitively. And she is the empress of proving it, right?
Yeah.
Jose, I've seen you eyeballing the replay. What have you seen just in the past few minutes as you watch it a few more times?
I can't believe it still, man. Just amazing. I feel she fought hard. She was ready. I mean, Tom did a great job, man.
Other questions? Ron?
Ron Flatter from VSIN. Jose, did the track, as you were watching races today and taking part in races today, did you find that it was going to be really good for your filly because it was so kind to speed?
Well, the track's been speedy, but my plan was gonna go to elite even if the track was slow, because I think that's the best spot for her. She's happy there, and that was my plan A.
Great. For Tom, this is Sean Collins with Talking the Track. And it is so very impressive to be able to pick horses with all the competition there at Keeneland or Fasig-Tipton. What do you think helped to develop the eye for picking good horses?
Well, my first job at the racetrack was when I was 15 years old in high school, working Christmas holidays. I'm 57. I never stopped working at the track. When I got done with high school, I was ready to go to the racetrack. My parents wouldn't allow it. There's nobody in my family that's involved in racing. They said, you got to get a college education. And so I worked summers at the racetrack when I wasn't in school at LSU. I graduated, and I went straight to the track, and I worked my way up. I've worked all aspects of it, from hot walker to groom to assistant trainer to vet assistant. I've done a lot, and I've always tried to work hard, and I've always tried to follow the golden rule, which is you got to be there. You know, that means in the mornings, you got to be there. That means in the afternoons on a Monday or Tuesday, you got to be there. Your horses talk to you 24/7, so I try to be a hands-on guy that's around the barn a lot, and I'm not unique. There's a lot of other trainers that do the same thing, but that served me well, and I think it served me well in terms of picking out horses.
Joel, your dad owned horses, correct? Can you just tell us a little bit more about your background and how you ended up in the racing game?
Yeah, so my dad, my parents are both immigrants. I'm first generation. My dad grew up in Egypt, loved going to the track. They migrated through Europe to wind up getting over here, and he was a physician. And once he got settled, he went to the track, and we had some $1,500 claimers at Waterford Park, and that's how he got going. And I was at the track all the time, and we bred, and he built a barn in the backyard, a 12-horse barn, and we got 25 cents a day to feed him in the morning, and we were out there all the time, and on the weekends we went to the track, and so it was a passion of my dad's that I loved, and so it was a joy, a treat for me to go to the track, and I've been going since forever, and here we are.
Terrific. Any other questions? Yeah, Tim.
Tom, if you could amplify on the idea of going from claimers to more expensive horses, and the leap, I guess you have to have, of confidence to spend that kind of money. Where did you develop that, and when did you feel comfortable at that level, playing in that game?
Well, I think it goes back to, what the jobs I had before I ever trained a horse. My first win was a filly at Sportsman's Park in 1987 named Prize Dream. And when I started training in 1987, I wasn't afraid. I knew I could train a horse. So I was ready. And as far as the opportunities I've had at the sales, buying young horses, you would still say probably that I'm a bid player at the sales. I don't buy the $500,000 horse, but I get to participate, and I'm excited to do it, and looking forward to doing it some more. I do want to say one thing, and if we don't mention it, we're gonna regret it. So, and that's how this filly was named. So I'm gonna let Joel tell you how the filly was named, and also I'll add something to the end of that. But Joel, the stage is yours.
So I have 4 daughters, 4 lovely daughters. 3 of them are sitting right here, and 1 is taking her final exams at Virginia right now. And they're all really good singers. They are, really, seriously. And my number 3 daughter, Annie, right there, latched on to the song Africa by Toto. And this was 2 years ago, before the Weezer remake, and it became popular. And she played it and killed it and sang it, and we have a cabin that we kind of retreat to, and we went there, and they sang that thing one night, blasting it for an hour over and over, and it's a great song, and we kind of embraced it, and we had just bought Serengeti Empress, and so we went through the lyrics, and in it says Kilimanjaro rises like an empress over the Serengeti, and so we named her Serengeti Empress. Really, for me, it's a tribute to my family, is what it is. So.
And just to add to that, my youngest daughter, who's in social media, Haley, reached out to the band, and when they found out that she was named after the song that they had wrote and sang, they became big fans. So they are now followers of Serengeti Empress.
Somehow it always comes back to Toto.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Jose is actually riding the last race. So do we have any last questions for Jose? All right, we'll let Jose go. Thanks so much.
Jose, thank you. Thank you.
And And speaking of Jose, Tom, he actually mentioned that he was a little nervous until he saw the overnight come out that he was actually getting them out. Can you just tell us a little bit? I mean, when an Eclipse Award winner is open, you get them, but why Jose for this filly?
Well, look, Jose, as well as his brother Irad, they're the two best riders in the entire country. I get to go up to Saratoga every year, and I don't participate in a lot of those big races, but I do cover them on TV sometimes. So I get to watch that jock colony ride a lot, and that's a fabulous jock colony up there. Those guys are as good as they come, and they're consummate pros. Their life is all around horse racing, and they're studying all the time. And you know, when we worked her here, Jose wasn't even in town, but we worked her, and he was our backup plan because he was saying that Chad Brown had a horse in the Also Eligibles in this race, and if that horse had gotten in, he was riding Chad Brown's horse. So I explained that to Tyler Gaffleone, who's a very good rider in his own right, and Tyler said, I'd love to work her, and if the horse of Chad Brown's gets in the race and you're going to give me the mount, he said, I'd appreciate it. And I said, that's the deal. If Chad Brown's horse gets in the race, it's your mount. If Chad Brown's horse does not get in the race, it's Jose's mount. And Chad Brown's horse did not draw in.
Well, you might be doing double duty on Alabama Day at Saratoga this summer. Can you just tell us a little bit about now what happens going forward with this filly?
Wow. You know, I always say, after some of my other wins that don't, in stature, probably don't compare to this, but I always say we're just going to enjoy it,
No
right?
doubt.
So right now, I don't think there's any plan other than to really have a big night. Yeah. Anybody got any Tylenol?
Were there any other questions?
Yes,
sir.
Bill Marshall, the Augusta Chronicle. Tom, I think maybe part of the problem that you may have had in the past is that some of your owners have given you horses that couldn't outrun you or the owners. So
Are you speaking in the first person, Bill?
I am speaking in the first person. I just wanted to ask you, you winter at the fairgrounds every
Right.
year. I know you're a New Orleanian. As
I am.
We have often thought that because of the shape of the ovals and the length of the home stretch, that the fairgrounds is really the ideal place to prepare a horse to run at Churchill Downs. Would you agree with that?
So yeah, I think the fairgrounds has a super safe surface, and I think that's a great developmental place for any horse. I'm not the only one that, you know, does things like that. I mean, Asmussen got Gun Runner ready there. He used that track. It's a kind surface. So look, you're trying to put a foundation in your horses, particularly when they're going from 2 to 3, which is when we get down there. We get down there in November of the 2-year-old year for the horses, and it's a great place to lay a foundation. So we ran the Breeders' Cup last year with Serengeti Empress. She didn't run well. She got blocked in the first turn, and it just wasn't her day. We gave her 4 to 5 weeks off. Quit looking at that. I'm talking.
I can't
Yeah.
help it. I just can't help it.
We gave her 4 to 5 weeks off, and then we brought her into the fairgrounds, and we got started, you know, and that's what we did. We just got her ready down there.
Last call?
I think Leora was second, right? Is that right? Yeah, so Fairgrounds 1-2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Catalona. Any other questions? Oh, Frank?
Sorry to hold up the party, Tom. Why was it so important for you to document her progress on social media? Why did you make that point of emphasis?
Look, it's no secret that our industry is facing at least what I consider a moment, a big moment that can go one or two ways. And as far as I'm concerned, with my horses and the racing public as well as the general public, I want to give as much information as I can out there. I want everyone to know what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and certainly there were some naysayers after the Fairgrounds Oaks that thought Serengeti Empress shouldn't run in the Kentucky Oaks after a bleeding episode. So I thought it was very important to document everything that we did. And I think that's the new world of racing. I think that we're going to see more and more of that. And there's nothing wrong with being transparent. I'm all for it.
All right. The winner of the Kentucky Oaks, Serengeti Empress.
She gets all the credit. She was the athlete. She did it. I put the saddle on her, but man, oh man, what an athlete.
She's a freak.
Thanks, guys.